My punks and my skins, there are countless issues which we have yet even to approach addressing here, amongst which would have to be the existence of detainment facilities along the border between Mexico and the United States, facilities which I am given to understand are directly comparable in conditions and in practices to the Konzentrationslager of the Third Reich of Germany. The concentration camps, which I am certain you know, were the final threshold to the extermination camps of the Holocaust. I likewise believe that you are familiar with the expression, "It could never happen in America." It having many connotations, and in this case, it begs a question. How is the right wing of the American political spectrum recognizing and coming to terms with the verifiable fact that it, in reality, is happening here in America? Children shoved into kennel cages, women forcibly undergoing hysterectomies, the parallels are brutal and alarming. Now, I would hasten to wager that after the inevitable reactionary denials have all been shattered and irreversibly dispelled, next, logically, would come the illogical rationalization. Well, come to think of it, it does happen here in America. Yeah. And it happened under dear, old, lovable, sweet, grandfatherly Democrat Franklin D. Roosevelt in the guise of the internment camps for the Japanese American citizens back during World War II. Yeah. No one is refuting this. That is an injustice which will continue to haunt this nation to its dying day. But you see, the rationalization does not end there. It is further expounded by the assertion that your current White House incumbent is in no way responsible for the creation of these inhumane facilities. Oh no, this was the doing of the previous president and the previous vice president, of the previous administration altogether. Now, focusing upon the truth of this idea, let's take it the full length. Let us borrow from the stark black and white cinematic duality of the silent film era, the era of heroes and villains, and let us suppose that the previous president and the previous vice president were such black-hearted caricatures of villains, twirling their mustaches and rubbing their hands gleefully together in anticipation of the suffering which they would have inflicted upon these unfortunate people. Should such an absurd notion even somehow prove to be the truth, this would not obscure the fact that the current incumbent has done nothing within his power to end this suffering. As a matter of fact, quite to the contrary, it would appear that he has prolonged, protracted, proliferated, promoted, and intensified it in all of its anguish and agony. But it is at this juncture that you are faced with a unique political opportunity. By and large, when a president finishes his term of office and closes out his administration, any misdeeds, any misconduct, anything at all of a criminal nature committed during his administration is largely lost in the shuffle and falls by the wayside when it is dropped by the media in favor of the transition of power to the new presidency, to the new administration. And those misdeeds are lost, save to history and to posterity, only to rear their heads again in the future as, at best, retroactive academic speculation. Point being that past infractions by passing presidents largely pass into the past, unrecognized and unreckoned. But this brings us back to that aforementioned political opportunity. It would seem that the previous vice president is now the up-and-coming Democratic candidate for the forthcoming presidential election. Should this candidate win this election, then you would have voted him back into the Oval Office with a promotion. In doing so, yes, you would be returning him to a position of power, but you would likewise be returning him to the center ring of the center stage of the spotlighted center point of responsibility and accountability. And if needs be, you would be able to call him to account as your president caught in the headlights of the limelights from which there is no escape. You have clearly demonstrated that the strength of your collective voices can resound and resonate from steeples to hilltops. And if there is any accountability, if there is any blame, if there is any fault to be found, then you can compel, you can induce, and possibly even, if needs be, force this new presidential incumbent to attempt to right the wrong. The bottom line with which you are left, boys and girls, is this. Your current incumbent, and God forbid your future incumbent, non-presidential incumbent, has been, is, and will continue to do nothing to address this issue, because that bottom line reads the same. Going back to the black and white dichotomy of the silent film era of heroes and villains, sometimes good guys are not orange.